The notification lit up my phone screen in the dim light of my Manhattan loft. Parker Tower acquisition complete. Paperwork finalized. My hands trembled as I set down my wine glass, a smile creeping across my face. 10 years of calculated moves had led to this moment. I'm Charlotte, and I just bought the building that was supposed to save my family's legacy. They just don't know it yet. Are you sure about this? Reese's voice carried across the room as she sprawled on my leather couch. Once you start this, there's no going back. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city lights. I've been waiting for this since the night he laughed in my face. The memory hit like a fresh wound. I was 25, standing in Dad's mahogany-lined office, clutching my art school acceptance letter. You'll never make a dime with that art degree, he sneered, making air quotes. Vincent's already closing million-dollar deals. What can you possibly contribute with paintings? Dad, please, I'd begged, just look at my portfolio. He'd swept my carefully prepared samples off his desk. Either join the family business or get out. Your choice. I chose. Those first years were brutal. A dingy studio apartment, endless cups of ramen, and nights spent painting until my fingers bled. I sold tiny canvases on street corners, in coffee shops, anywhere that would let me display my work. Remember when you sold that first piece for actual money? Reese asked, interrupting my thoughts. That old lady paid $500. And cried when she saw it, I smiled. That's when I knew I could make it. My phone buzzed again. Vincent's name flashed across the screen. The first time in 10 years. I showed it to Reese. Holy shit, she whispered. He must be desperate. I let it ring out. Another buzz, a voicemail notification. Play it on speaker, Reese urged. Vincent's voice filled the room, cracking with emotion. Charlie, it's me. I know it's been... Look, everything's falling apart. The tower project, we need help. Please, call me back. Please. I walked to my private gallery wall, where a particular painting hung. My first major work after leaving home. A burning skyscraper against a blood-red sky. Dad had called my art worthless. Now my pieces sold for millions under my pseudonym C.L. Monet. What are you thinking? Reese asked softly. I touched the canvas gently. I'm thinking about how Dad always said Vincent had the killer instinct for business. But he never noticed which of his children actually inherited his ruthlessness. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Xavier. Meeting confirmed for tomorrow. Site inspection of Parker Tower at 9 a.m. Demolition plans ready for review. Reese stood up and joined me at the window. You know what's crazy? Your father spent 30 years building his empire, and Vincent needed just 3 years to drive it into the ground. And now they need help from the art world they despised so much. I picked up my wine glass again. Should I take Vincent's call? You've waited 10 years for this moment, Reese said. Make it count. The phone started ringing again. Vincent's desperate face filled the screen. Oh, I will, I said, letting it ring. The difference between Vincent and me? He learned to count money. I learned to count cards. Reese raised an eyebrow. And I've been stacking this deck for a decade. I finally reached for the phone. Time to deal the hand that burns it all down. The city lights twinkled below like stars, and somewhere out there, the Parker Tower stood waiting. Soon it would be rubble, and from its ashes, my vision would rise. But first, I had a call to take, and a brother to break. I answered the phone. Hello, Vincent. It's been a while. I let Vincent's first 3 calls go to voicemail. Each message grew more desperate than the last. Charlie, please. The investors are pulling out. Just give me 5 minutes to explain. Everything's falling apart. Dad would have wanted you to help family. That last one made me laugh out loud. Dad would have wanted me to help family. I replayed it for Reese over breakfast. Where was that family spirit when they changed the locks on my apartment? Your brother's really losing it, Reese said, scrolling through her phone. Have you seen the business news? Parker Group stock dropped 60% this month. I sipped my coffee, savouring both the taste and the moment. Time for my site visit. The Parker Tower construction site loomed ahead, all gleaming steel and promises. Security waved through my black Mercedes. They were expecting CL Monet after all. Not Charlotte Parker. Xavier waited by the entrance, architectural plans tucked under his arm. Ms. Monet, he smiled, playing along. Shall we begin the tour? We rode the construction elevator to the 20th floor. Through the skeleton of walls, Manhattan spread out before us like a concrete garden. Vincent's betting everything on this building, Xavier said quietly. It's their last chance to stay solvent. I ran my hand along an exposed beam. Tell me about the foundation issues. The geological survey was rushed. There are serious concerns about the bedrock stability. Xavier unrolled his plans. Demolition would actually be safer than completing construction. Perfect, I smiled. Draft the condemnation report. Make it thorough. My phone buzzed. Reese again. Turn on the financial news now. I pulled up the live stream on my phone. A reporter stood outside Parker Group headquarters. Breaking news. Anonymous sources reveal potential fraud within the Parker Group's internal accounting. The SEC has launched a formal investigation. Xavier whistled low. That's going to tank their remaining funding. Such a shame, I said, not even trying to hide my smile. Send me the demolition plans by tonight. I want to announce this project's death sentence by the end of the week. Walking back to my car, I remembered the day Dad gave Vincent his first office. I was 16, watching from the hallway as they hung the nameplate, Vincent Parker, Junior Executive. That's my boy, Dad had beamed, following in my footsteps. I'd shown him my art portfolio that same day. He didn't even open it. My phone rang again. Vincent. This time I answered. Charlie? He sounded shocked that I'd picked up. What do you want, Vincent? We need to meet. Please. There's so much I need to explain. I let the silence stretch uncomfortably long. The plaza. Tomorrow, at noon. Thank you. I hung up before he could finish. Back at my loft, Reese was waiting with a manila envelope. This just arrived by courier. No return address. Inside was a USB drive and a handwritten note. Ms. Monet, you should see what I found in the Parker Group servers. A friend. The files loaded onto my laptop. Internal emails, bank transfers, and buried deep in the folders, a scan of Dad's last will and testament, dated 2 weeks before his death. Oh my God, Reese breathed, reading over my shoulder. He was going to give you half the company? My hand shook as I scrolled through the document. Dad's signature was there, but it had never been filed. Vincent had buried it during Dad's final days. That son of a bitch, I whispered. He stole my inheritance while Dad was dying. Reese squeezed my shoulder. What are you going to do? I closed the laptop slowly, a cold clarity settling over me. I'm going to meet my dear brother for lunch tomorrow, and I'm going to watch him lie to my face about everything. And then I walk to my gallery wall, to the burning skyscraper painting. Then I'm going to tell him exactly how his precious tower is going to fall. My phone lit up with a text from Xavier. Demolition plans ready. And there's something else you need to see about the property deed? I smiled. The deck was stacked, the cards were dealt, and Vincent didn't even know he was playing. Vincent was already waiting when I arrived at the plaza, fidgeting with his Rolex, the same nervous tick from childhood. His designer suit couldn't hide how much he'd aged. Dark circles under bloodshot eyes, silver threading through his temples. "Charlie!" He stood, arms open for a hug I didn't give. "You look successful. Sit down, Vincent." I smoothed my Chanel dress as I took my seat. "Let's skip the small talk." He deflated slightly. "Right. Look, I know we've had our differences." "Differences?" I cut him off. "You call changing the locks on my apartment while I was at class a difference? Dad made that decision, not me." Vincent's hands shook as he reached for his water. "I was just following orders, like you followed orders when you buried his new will." The glass froze halfway to his mouth. "What?" 2 weeks before his stroke, he had it drafted, signed, witnessed. Ring any bells? Colour drained from his face. "How did you—" Amazing what people find when they start digging through company servers. I pulled out my phone and showed him the scan. "You intercepted it before it could be filed, while Dad was dying in the hospital. Charlie, please," he whispered. "You don't understand. The company was already in trouble. If the board knew Dad was splitting ownership—" "Save it." I held up my hand. "I'm not here about the past. I'm here because you called me, remember? Something about needing help?" Vincent straightened his tie, switching to his business voice. "Yes. We've hit some temporary cash flow issues. Nothing serious, just bad timing with partners." "You mean the partners who are being investigated for fraud?" He flinched. "Those allegations are completely unfounded." My phone buzzed. A news alert from the Real Estate Journal. "Breaking. Investigative reporter Sadie Richards exposes Parker Group's pattern of overbuilding during founders' final days." I turned the screen to show him. Vincent's face went from pale to green. "This is a hit piece," he stammered. "We can sue for libel." "With what money?" I asked sweetly. "The offshore accounts you've been funneling cash into, or the emergency fund you burned through last quarter?" Vincent's business mask cracked. "How do you know about—" "I know everything, Vincent. Every lie, every cover-up, every desperate move you've made since Dad died." I leaned forward. "Including what you did with Mum's estate." He grabbed my wrist. "Keep your voice down." "Or what? You'll disinherit me again?" I pulled free. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to sign over your remaining shares of Parker Tower to my investment group." "Never," he hissed. "Then I'll wait 2 weeks until your funding falls through, buy it in foreclosure for pennies, and make sure everyone knows how the mighty Vincent lost Daddy's legacy." "You wouldn't dare!" "Try me." I stood up. "You have until Friday to decide. Oh, and Vincent, that reporter, Sadie, she's doing a follow-up piece. Something about hidden wills and inheritance fraud. Might want to have your lawyer ready." I was halfway to the door when his voice cracked. "What happened to you, Charlie? You used to be so soft." I turned back one last time. "I learned from the best, big brother. Dad always said I'd never make it in business. Turns out I just needed the right motivation." My phone buzzed again as I reached my car. "Xavier. Found the property records. Your mother's trust owned the land under Parker Tower. Gregory never had the right to build there. It's legally yours." I texted back, "Perfect. Draft the ownership challenge papers. Time to pull the foundation out from under Vincent's feet." Another notification popped up. Reese had sent a link to Sadie's article. The comments section was already on fire, with former Parker Group employees sharing their own stories of corruption and nepotism. "How's it feel?" Reese texted. "Watching it all burn?" I looked up at the skyline, at the half-finished Parker Tower stretching into the clouds. Soon it would be dust, and in its place my vision would rise. A garden of steel and glass, built not on lies and greed, but on the truth I'd spent 10 years uncovering. It feels, I texted back, like justice. Xavier spread the property documents across my office table, each yellowed page another nail in Vincent's coffin. Your mother's trust was explicit, he said, pointing to the highlighted sections. The land couldn't be sold or developed without unanimous consent from all beneficiaries. Which included me, I said, tracing my name on the trust document. Gregory used forged documents to secure the construction loans. Xavier pulled out more papers. The bank's already launching an internal investigation. My phone lit up. Vincent calling again. I put it on speaker. You leaked the will to that reporter, he snarled without preamble. Prove it. I'll sue you for defamation. With what lawyers, Vincent? The ones who just quit because you can't pay their retainer? He went quiet for a moment. What do you want? Meet me at Dad's old office. 1 hour. The Parker Group headquarters felt like a ghost town. Empty desks, boxed up belongings, desperate energy in the air. Vincent waited in Dad's office, my first time back here since that night 10 years ago. Remember the last time I stood in this spot? I asked, running my hand along the mahogany desk. Charlie, please. I pulled out the trust documents. Mom's land trust. Ring any bells? His face went slack. Where did you get those? The same place I got these. I dropped the forged documents on the desk. Dad's signature looks different here, doesn't it? Almost like someone practiced copying it. Vincent collapsed into Dad's chair. You don't understand. The company was drowning. We needed that land. So you committed fraud. While Dad was dying, while I was wasting my life at art school. I leaned forward. Did you ever tell him what you did to Mum's trust? I protected his legacy. Vincent slammed his fist down. Someone had to. His legacy, I laughed. Look around, Vincent. Empty offices, SEC investigations, fraud allegations, some legacy. At least I tried. What did you do? Run away to paint pretty pictures? I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Actually, I built something too. Want to see C.L. Monet's net worth? His eyes widened as I showed him the number. That's impossible. The daughter you all dismissed? She's now worth more than the Parker Group ever was. I smiled. And she owns the land your tower is built on. Vincent stood up so fast his chair crashed backward. You're lying. Mum left it to both of us, but you needed my signature to develop it legally. I tapped the trust document. These forgeries? Federal crime. Want to guess how many years that carries? What do you want? His voice cracked. Money? A public apology? I want you to watch. I walked to the window overlooking the tower. Watch while I tear down everything you stole. The company, the tower, the lies you built it all on. You'd destroy Dad's dream, your own family. I turned back to him, ice in my veins. Family? Was it family when you forged documents while Dad was dying, when you stole my inheritance, when you built that monstrosity on Mum's land without my consent? Vincent's phone buzzed, his lawyer calling. He ignored it. The demolition announcement goes public tomorrow, I said. C.L. Monet will hold a press conference announcing plans for an art garden, a memorial to all the stories silenced by men like you and Dad. You can't. I already did. I headed for the door. Oh, and Vincent? The FBI is investigating the forgeries. Might want to take that call from your lawyer. His voice stopped me at the threshold. He was right about you, you know. Who? Dad. He said you were too soft for business. Vincent laughed bitterly. But look at you now, cold, calculating, destroying everything in your path. You became exactly what he wanted, just too late for him to see it. I didn't turn around. No, Vincent. I became what I had to be, to survive you both. My phone buzzed as I reached the elevator. Reese. Press conference set for tomorrow. You ready? I looked back at Dad's office one last time, at Vincent's silhouette against the window, at the empire crumbling around him. "More than ready," I texted back. "Time to bring it all down." Camera flashes exploded as I stepped onto the podium, the Parker Tower looming behind me like a steel tombstone. The press conference had drawn every major network and real estate publication in New York. "Good morning," I began, my voice carrying through the speakers as C.L. Monet. "Today marks the end of one vision and the birth of another." Reporters leaned forward, hungry for the story. In the back, I spotted Vincent slipping in, his face ashen. "The Parker Tower project, as conceived, is fundamentally flawed." I gestured to the structural diagrams on display. "Not just in its foundation, which our engineers have deemed unsafe, but in its very spirit." Cameras clicked frantically as I unveiled the renderings for the Phoenix Garden. "In its place, we will create something new, a public space that celebrates art, resilience, and the voices that power tried to silence." A reporter's hand shot up. "Ms. Monet, what about the Parker Group's objections?" "The Parker Group no longer has legal standing to object." I smiled directly at Vincent. "The land belongs to its rightful heir." Another reporter. "Sources suggest the original land was held in trust. Can you comment?" "The trust documents speak for themselves." I nodded to Xavier, who began distributing press packets, along with evidence of fraud that the FBI is currently investigating. Vincent turned to leave, but security blocked the exits, part of my plan. "This site will be transformed into a testament to rebirth." I revealed the central sculpture design, a massive phoenix rising from twisted steel. Every piece of the demolished tower will be repurposed into art, nothing wasted, everything transformed. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A breaking news alert. "Parker Group stock trading suspended amid fraud investigation." "Questions?" I asked sweetly. The room erupted. In the chaos, Vincent pushed forward. "This is ridiculous," he shouted. "That's my family's building." Security moved to intercept him, but I held up my hand. "Let him speak." Vincent reached the podium, face red with rage. "You think you can hide behind this fake name, behind your precious art. I know who you are." The room went silent. "Do you?" I asked quietly. "This is Charlotte." He pointed at me, voice cracking. "My sister, and she's destroying our family's legacy out of spite." Instead of denying it, I removed my signature dark sunglasses. "Hello, brother." The press exploded again, cameras flashing wildly. "Yes, I'm Charlotte Parker, and yes, this is personal." I turned to address the crowd. 10 years ago, I was told I'd never make anything of myself. That art was worthless. That business was the only path to success. Vincent tried to interrupt, but I continued. "Today, I own more real estate than the Parker Group ever did. I've built something lasting, something honest." I smiled at the cameras. "And I did it all without forging a single document." "You bitch," Vincent hissed. "The demolition begins next week," I announced over him. "The Phoenix Garden will open next spring. And yes, admission will be free. Art belongs to everyone, not just the wealthy few." As security finally led Vincent away, a familiar voice rose from the crowd. "Ms. Parker, Sadie Richards, Real Estate Journal. Care to comment on the FBI's investigation into your brother's activities?" "All evidence has been turned over to the authorities." I gathered my papers. The truth has a way of rising from the ashes. Back in my car, Reese was waiting. "That was brutal," she said. "You okay?" Before I could answer, my phone rang. An unknown number. "Is this Charlotte?" a woman's voice asked. "This is Jasmine, Vincent's ex-wife. We need to talk." "About what?" "About the offshore accounts he thinks no one knows about, and about how much I'd love to see him pay for what he did to both of us." I caught Reese's eye. "I'm listening." "Meet me in an hour." I have documents you're going to want to see. I hung up and leaned back, closing my eyes. Remember when I said I'd stack the deck? Yeah? Looks like I just got dealt another ace. Reese squeezed my hand. Your mum would be proud, you know, using her land to build something beautiful. I opened my eyes and looked at the tower, imagining it transformed into my vision. She always said art saves us all. She just never specified how. I found the old VHS tape while clearing out Mum's storage unit. Family, Christmas, 1995, was written in Dad's sharp handwriting. Against my better judgment, I played it. Stop fidgeting with those crayons, Dad's voice crackled through the speakers. Vincent's opening his presents. The camera panned past 8-year-old me to Vincent, unwrapping a junior briefcase. Just like Daddy's, he beamed. What about Charlotte's art supplies? Mum's voice came from behind the camera. Waste of money, Dad grumbled. She needs to focus on real skills. I hit pause, hands shaking. Reese appeared in my doorway with 2 glasses of wine. Still torturing yourself with old videos? She asked. Look what I found in the box with the tape. I handed her a folder of documents. Mum was secretly paying for my art lessons. She sold her jewellery to afford them. Reese sat beside me. Your mum was a silent warrior. My phone buzzed, Jasmine requesting a video call. I answered to find her sitting in what looked like a law office. You're going to love this, she said, holding up a stack of papers. Vincent's offshore account records, every illegal transfer, every shell company. How did you get those? She smiled. He used our anniversary as the password. Idiot. Her expression hardened. He cheated on me with his secretary while I was pregnant. Consider this my delayed revenge. Send everything to my lawyer, I said. And Jasmine, thank you. After hanging up, I turned to Reese. Am I becoming just like him? Like who? Dad. Vincent said I've turned cold. Calculating. I gestured at the paused video. Maybe he was right. The difference, Reese said firmly, is that you're creating something, not just destroying. My phone lit up again. Xavier. Gallery opening starts in an hour. Press is already lining up. The gallery buzzed with New York's art elite, all here to see C.L. Monet's latest exhibition. Foundations. Each piece incorporated salvaged materials from demolished buildings. The centerpiece was my burning skyscraper painting, now worth millions. Ms. Monet, Sadie approached with her recorder. Care to comment on the FBI's expanded investigation into the Parker Group? Before I could answer, a commotion erupted at the entrance. Vincent stumbled in, clearly drunk. Where is she? He slurred. Where's my baby sister? Security moved to intercept him, but he pushed past. You think you're so clever, using Mum's memory like this? Sir, you need to leave, a guard started. No! Vincent grabbed a champagne glass from a passing waiter. Let me toast my sister's success to Charlotte, who learned to destroy everything she touches. The room went silent. Phones came out recording. You're drunk, Vincent, I said quietly. Go home. Home? He laughed bitterly. The home you're taking away? The company you're burning down? He stumbled closer. Did you tell them how you waited? Planned this for years? Like you planned to steal my inheritance? I stepped forward. Or how you forged documents while Dad was dying? I protected our legacy. You destroyed it. My voice rose. Every lie, every fraud, every betrayal. That was you, Vincent. I'm just exposing the truth. He hurled his glass at my burning skyscraper painting. Security tackled him as it shattered against the canvas. You're just like him, Vincent shouted as they dragged him away. Cold, heartless, a perfect Parker after all. The room erupted in chaos. Phones recorded everything. Tomorrow's headlines wrote themselves. Hours later, after the crowds left, I stood alone before the painting. The champagne had left a streak across the burning tower, like a tear track down a face. "He's wrong, you know," Reese said softly behind me. "You're not cold. You're just finally burning hot enough to fight back." My phone buzzed. Jasmine had sent the offshore account records to the FBI. Another buzz. Xavier confirming the demolition schedule. A third. Sadie requesting an exclusive interview about Vincent's meltdown. "What now?" Reese asked. I touched the painting gently, feeling its texture under my fingers. "Now, we finish what we started. The tower comes down next week. And then?" I smiled, thinking of Mum's secret art lessons, of her quiet rebellion, of the garden that would rise from all this destruction. "Then we build something beautiful." Dawn broke over the Parker Tower demolition site. News vans lined the streets, their satellite dishes reaching skyward like metal flowers. I adjusted my blazer, preparing to take the stage one final time. "Ready?" Reese squeezed my hand. "Born ready." I stepped onto the platform, facing the sea of cameras and reporters. The tower loomed behind me, its windows reflecting the rising sun like tears. 10 years ago, I began. I stood in an office not far from here and was told I'd never amount to anything, that art was worthless, that dreams were for fools. Movement caught my eye. Vincent pushing through the crowd, security close behind. "Today, we're not just demolishing a building," I continued, my voice steady. "We're demolishing the idea that power only flows one way, that success only looks one way." "Stop!" Vincent's voice cut through the crowd. "This is my building." I didn't pause. "The Phoenix Garden will rise here, a space where art and nature intertwine, where—" "Tell them who you really are." Vincent reached the stage, his tie askew, eyes wild. "Tell them how you plotted this for years." Security moved to grab him, but I held up my hand. "Let him speak." "This woman," he pointed at me, swaying slightly, "is my sister, Charlotte, and she's destroying our family's legacy out of spite." The crowd erupted in whispers. Cameras clicked frantically. "Yes," I said into the microphone. "I'm Charlotte Parker. And yes, this is personal." I turned to face Vincent. "But not for the reasons you think. You're nothing but a vindictive—" "I'm the rightful owner of this land," I cut him off. "Through Mum's trust. The trust you forged documents to steal." Vincent lunged for the microphone, but security caught him. "You're just like Dad, destroying everything you touch." "No, Vincent." I pulled out Mum's photo from my jacket. "I'm like Mum, building something beautiful from what others tried to break." The crowd went silent as I held up the demolition trigger. "This is for every artist told their dreams don't matter, for every child told they're not enough, for every voice silenced by men like you and Dad. Don't you dare!" Vincent struggled against security. I pressed the button. The first explosions were almost gentle, precise charges placed by engineers. The tower began to fold in on itself, a ballet of destruction choreographed to the millisecond. Glass rained down like diamond tears. As the dust rose, I noticed Vincent had gone still. His face crumpled as his last hope collapsed. "You were always more like him than me," he whispered as security led him away. "At least Dad was honest about being ruthless." The words hit harder than I expected, but before I could respond, Sadie pushed forward with her recorder. "Ms. Parker, now that your identity is public, what's next for CL Monet?" I looked at the settling dust, at the space where new possibilities would grow. "Now we build. The Phoenix Garden will open next spring. A place where art grows from destruction, where beauty rises from truth." "And your brother's criminal charges?" "That's for the FBI to handle." I stepped down from the platform. "I'm focused on creation now, not destruction." The crowd surged forward with more questions, but Reese pulled me away. In the safety of my car, I finally let out a shaky breath. "You okay?" she asked. "Vincent's last words," I started. "About being like your dad?" Reese shook her head. "Your dad tore things down to build his empire. You're tearing down an empire to build something meaningful. There's a difference." My phone buzzed. Jasmine sending a video of Vincent being escorted from his office by FBI agents. Another buzz. Xavier with the final Phoenix Garden renders. A third, Sadie requesting an exclusive on the garden's opening. "Look," Reese pointed through the window. The dust had cleared enough to see the sunrise through the space where the tower had stood. "New day, clean slate." I thought of Mum's secret support, of her quiet rebellion, of her trust in my art when no one else believed. The garden would be her legacy too, beauty rising from the ashes of men's ambitions. "Vincent was wrong," I said finally. "I'm not like Dad at all. I'm something entirely new." The dust continued to settle, and in its swirling patterns, I could already see my garden growing. Spring sunlight filtered through the glass ceiling of the Phoenix Garden as I walked its winding paths. The morning dew still clung to the sculpture gardens, making everything sparkle. My footsteps echoed off steel and stone, all reclaimed from the tower that once stood here. "The critics are calling it revolutionary," Reese said, reading from her tablet as she walked beside me. "Listen to this. C.L. Monet, now known to be Charlotte Parker, hasn't just created a garden. She's crafted a testament to transformation." We stopped at the central monument, the maternal figure facing east, her wings made from twisted tower beams. Mum would have loved it. "Ms. Parker?" A young art student approached, sketchbook clutched to her chest. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but your story inspired me to stick with art school when my parents wanted me to study law." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Sadie. "Vincent took plea deal. 15 years. Jasmine's evidence sealed it." "Looks like karma finally caught up," Reese murmured. The student was still waiting. I turned to her. "What's your name?" "Maya. I read about how you built all this after they said you'd never succeed in art." I gestured to the garden around us. "Sometimes the people who try to clip your wings just teach you how to build better ones." A commotion near the entrance caught our attention. Xavier was leading a group of museum directors through the space. "The Metropolitan Museum wants to do a retrospective," Reese explained. "The art of revenge, from street sales to empire." Their words, not mine. I watched the directors admiring the sculptures, each piece telling part of our story. The twisted metal of Dad's ambitions, the shattered glass of Vincent's lies, all transformed into something honest and true. "Miss Parker?" Maya held out her sketchbook. "Would you sign this? Your gallery opening piece inspired my thesis project." I looked at her drawing, a phoenix rising from corporate ruins. "Keep creating," I wrote. "The world needs your voice." My phone buzzed again. Jasmine sending court documents. Vincent's assets seized, his accounts frozen. The last pieces of the Parker Group empire dissolved into nothing. "The garden's at capacity again," Xavier reported, joining us. "Third day in a row. People are calling it New York's heart." I touched the base of Mum's memorial sculpture, feeling the rough texture of reclaimed stone. "Did you know Mum used to sneak me art supplies?" I told Maya. "Everyone said I was wasting my time, but she saw something else." "What did she see?" Maya asked. "That destruction isn't always an ending. Sometimes it's raw material for something better." Reese's tablet chimed. "Speaking of better, stock in your new art foundation just hit record highs. The board wants to open 3 more gardens across the country." I looked up at the glass ceiling, at the sky beyond. No tower blocking the view anymore, just endless possibility. "Your father was wrong," Xavier said quietly, "about art never making money." "It was never about the money," I smiled at Maya. It was about making something real. My phone lit up one final time. A message from Vincent's old secretary. Found this in the office vault? Thought you should have it? The attached photo showed a painting. My first watercolour, the one Dad had thrown away. He'd kept it all these years. You okay? Reese asked. I watched a group of children running through the garden, their laughter echoing off sculptures made from my family's fallen legacy. Each piece told a story of transformation, of revenge turned to renewal. I didn't just burn down their kingdom, I told Maya. I built my cathedral in the ashes, and its doors are open to everyone they tried to shut out. She clutched her sketchbook tighter. Thank you for showing us it's possible. The morning sun climbed higher, sending rainbow refractions through the glass ceiling. Below, artists sketched, children played, and visitors wandered paths built from demolished dreams. I touched Mum's sculpture one last time. No, thank you, all of you, for showing me that the best revenge isn't destruction at all. What is it then? Maya asked. Creation, I smiled. Pure, honest, unstoppable creation.